Okay, so hi YouTube. I am dealing with a problem. I have a 2001 Ford Explorer. From looking online, it looks like this is a fairly common issue for the second generation Explorers, possibly others. So this probably affects anything from a 96 to a 2001 Ford Explorer, maybe others. Basically, what I have is the rear lift gate on my Explorer. The lever does this, and if I close the back gate, it doesn't open. Okay, and the reason it does that is the Ford engineers or their contractors decided that this little yellow plastic clip is adequate to go into this space that I'm showing right here. And basically what happens is the little yellow clip, I can't get my finger in there, and I hit the pause button, so let me try this again here. So anyways, this yellow clip goes on top of, God, I can't get it to give me access. Okay, I moved the parts around a little bit here, sorry, bunch of short segments here. Anyways, so this little rod that is right here, that yellow clips to the side of it, and then the hole of it goes through the center of that hole right behind it. Okay, and that's how this thing is supposed to attach. Unfortunately, these little plastic clips don't do well with the stress, and if the gate is not lubricated or the plastic gets old and brittle, they break. And this one actually does not look broken, but it does not want to stay clipped. So what I'm going to do, instead of having to take this thing apart another time, is I am going to engineer a replacement. And my thought is I have one of these threaded connectors. It's a 6mm by 1, and I have a 6mm by 1-inch hitch pin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld that hitch pin onto the side of the connector. And what that'll let me do then is I can thread that onto the rod that controls the lift gate, and then I will secure that with just a standard hitch pin. And hopefully it'll be a permanent fix and I won't have to take this apart and do this again. So bear with me. I will take some pictures here in a second and show them, and then what we'll do is I will weld this up and thread it on and show you how it works. Okay, so I'm ready to weld this up. Basically, like I said, all I've got is the 6x1 thread connector with the clevis pin. Basically, all I'm using is I got this little scrap metal aquarium stand, and I just clamp my ground to that. I'm going to try to tack that. Once it's tacked, then I'll be able to lay it out on its side and weld it a little better. I don't have a way to hold the camera and weld at the same time, so just showing you how I plan to do it. And again, this is just obviously sitting on here for now. I'm gonna think about which way the pins go. Doesn't probably matter which way the pins go. The OCD in me, I guess I'll just line them up so that they go, actually I'm gonna have them go opposite the direction of the movement, so that because that's gonna get pulled. Oops, I'm sorry, my finger's not showing. So anyways, I'm gonna have this set up so that the pins go opposite the direction of movement for the hitch pin. So because this is gonna pull along the length of the threaded rod, that way, you know, just in case, you know, it'd be really bizarre that somehow the hitch pin would snag on something and the stupid thing pop free. But by going opposite, there's virtually no chance that could happen. Okay, so anyways, I'm gonna tack this. Okay, so I'm back. The weld isn't the world's prettiest thing. Doesn't have to be terribly pretty. Nobody will ever see it other than, I guess, anybody that's lucky enough to find my video on YouTube. Anyways, so what I've got here is this is a 6mm by 1 rod that I'm going to do something different with here in a second. But anyways, so the threaded nut is welded to the hitch pin, as you can see. And what this does again is it allows me to thread this in and out on that stud on the back of the lift gate. So the reason I threaded on this, just to make sure that I didn't get any slag or anything inside the nut that'll cause me problems when I go to install this into the Explorer. So give me a second, I'll thread this on the Explorer and we'll see if it works. Okay, so I've threaded the piece that I just welded up onto the rod, and you can see it at the end of my super long screwdriver here. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit for you. So this is my new piece. Oops, it's gonna fall back for you guys. You can see it. But I'm running into a problem that I kind of anticipated, but I forgot to mention earlier, being that in order to get this, let me pull this out of the way again so you can see it. So first I'm going to use my fingers. So in order for me to get this long hitch pin through the hole, it is not going to fit through because of the angle and the geometry. And unfortunately, there's no way I can get my fat fingers in here to show you this. So I'll try to describe it. So I'm looking at the same view you are, and it's not easy to see anything in there. Okay, there, now I can see what I'm trying to describe. So the hitch pin that I have has to slide into this hole. Okay, now because it's long, I can't pull the handle back and get enough angle to get that long pin that I welded on into this. So I've got two options. I can cut the hitch pin down, which I think I'm going to try first, and see if that gives me enough angle that I can drop it in. So my hope is that by shortening the other end, I'll be able to just drop it in and then pin it fast and be done. So let's give that a try and see how it works. Okay, so before I cut the pin down in size, these are the two existing holes that were in my 1-inch clevis pin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill in a hole. You can see I started it, use a starter punch, and then I just started with the drill a little bit. But I'm going to basically just move in about this much, and then I plan to cut this off then where that middle hole is and see if that gives me enough room. So anyways, again, I don't have a way to hold the phone and video, so I'm going to go ahead and drill this out and we'll move forward. Okay, so here are the holes drilled. The internal hole I did was a 3/32 bit, and then I countersunk it on both sides with a 1/8 bit. That'll just make it easier getting the hitch pin through once I get this ready to install it. It'll also remove any burrs and stuff that were at the outside edge from drilling. Okay, so I'm going to cut this off and then probably put it back on, see how I make out. Okay, so here is my updated part. Cut off the hitch pin, again with the new hole drilled. Give me a second, I'll post a picture with a ruler with the dimensions on this thing so you can see how long I left it. Okay, so I managed to get this in. I will be honest, getting this back in was a royal pain in the ass. So the thread nut here is threaded out further than I really would have liked it to be. And it was needed that way so that I could lift the handle part way or push the handle in, I guess it was. And it gave me enough angle that I was finally able to push that stud through the plastic to get it through the other side. Now, one other problem I ran into that I was not expecting is that on the handle on the inside, back in here, and see if I can't really activate the flash. See if I got a flashlight. There, you can see. So where that stud came through from the other side, it wants to hit the, I think it's plastic on the inside of the hitch here. I'll try to manipulate this and see if it shows it to you. So you can see where it comes up against that inside. So I'm struggling right now with what to do about that. If I put the cotter key in, or the hitch pin, it's gonna make it that sorry, stopped the recording by accident. So anyways, if I put the hitch pin through that clevis pin, what's gonna happen is it's gonna force it so it stays out and it's gonna hit that plastic. So what I'm thinking about doing is actually, and I don't wanna take this apart again, is pushing that metal pin out a little bit towards the outside, and the pressure from that threaded rod will hold that in place, and hopefully make it so it'll stay there. But as it is right now, let me zoom out. So the Explorer latch now works. It makes a funny double click that it didn't used to do. And again, I think that's just a side effect of it not pulling that threaded rod as far as the original plastic piece did. But at least it's fixed. I can get in the back gate, and because it's steel instead of that stupid little plastic clip, hopefully I won't have to do this again. So I'm probably going to stop working on this for today, but my next mission on this, and I shared this earlier, is I am considering taking another one of those threaded nuts. So this is again 6mm, and what I'm thinking about doing is putting that on there with 2 jam nuts on each side and adding a bolt here. Now this one might be a little long. I just don't know. I have to see how far it goes in through the door cover. But I can obviously cut this one down shorter. And the goal is then so that I'll have a handle in here so that if this thing breaks again, I can actually just reach in, grab this bolt, and pull this over manually from in here to unlock the gate, as opposed to having to tear this apart again. And then what I can do is cut a hole through the inside plastic for this. And it'll give me another advantage is if I was camping or hanging out in the back of the Explorer, I could actually then open this rear gate without having to climb out the side doors. Not that climbing out of the side doors is that hard when you're camping, but it might be nice to have the back accessible. So anyways, I'm not going to mess with this today. Think about it a little bit. I want to drive the Explorer a little bit and make sure that driving isn't going to mess up the fix I did for the latch, the replacement for that goofy little plastic thing. And then once I'm sure that everything's working, then I'll evaluate if I want to add a manual handle, or if there's a better way to add a manual handle before I put this all back together again. Anyways, hopefully that helps somebody. Maybe it works. I don't know. It was, like I said, the worst part of this by far was getting that piece back inside.